All right, let's get started. So this is our value scales worksheet. You have printed this out and hopefully you've got it lined up and ready to go work along with me. So in this box we've got our lightest value, which is white. In this one we've got our darkest value, which is black as you can get it. With your pencil side is what I'm going to ask you to do. Guess what? This one you don't have to do anything. Lucky you. Okay, so let's start then. Let's start with our darkest value. Okay, so with the side of our pencil, we are going to kind of go from side to side. And the one thing that I want to mention to you is when you're shading, the closer you hold your pencil to the tip, the darker your value is going to be. Okay, if you scale back and you're holding your pencil all the way toward the eraser, that's how you get a really nice light value. But again, if you want a dark value, you're going to hold it close to the tip. Okay, so here we are using the side of my pencil. I'm going to shade this one as dark as I can get it. I'm pressing pretty hard, using some force here. Okay, and I'm going to continue to make that whole block the same depth of color that I've got started here. Okay, notice here I'm pretty dark. I'm getting a little bit lighter as I've gone, right? So I'm going to go back over this. Make sure that my color is uniform. I think that's a little bit better. I think part of it is the light too on here. It's just the graphite is kind of reflecting the light. Okay, so that's as dark as I can get with this pencil. So for the next one, I want to be a little bit lighter. Okay, so I'm going to move my hand back a little bit. I'm going to use a little less pressure. Okay, remember that you can always go back and add to your value, but it's hard to take value away. Okay, you can erase, but you're going to have to end up redoing the whole thing. So start out a little bit lighter than you think you want to be, because you can always go back and add to it. Okay, see how I'm quite a bit lighter down here than I am up here. So I'm going to go over this part again. Again, using the side of my pencil. And what I'm trying to do is match what I see up here. Again, for some reason on this screen, it's not looking as dark as it does in person, but you have to trust me on this. This one actually is pretty close to this. Not on your screen, but in real life. Okay? And notice it's a little bit darker than this one. All right, or I'm sorry, a little bit lighter. Sorry about that. Okay, so next I'm going to try to match up this one. Okay, this is my next value. Decreasing. Again, using the side of my pencil. I'm holding my pencil in about the same spot I did as last time, just using less pressure. If you go out of the lines, not a big deal, you can always erase. I'm not completing my boxes because I don't want this video to be forever for you. And there we go. That's about the same as the one above it. Okay, and this box, lighter still. Okay, I'm using less pressure. I'm going to move my pencil, or my fingers, sorry, my fingers back a little bit. My value is pretty light here. And there we go. You see how they're getting less and less dark, losing value. Okay, so here, move my fingers back maybe a little bit. Now I'm using very light shading. Remember, this one is going to have nothing at all. It's going to be pure white. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're being gradual with our shading. So I am really light here. And I am pretty much matching the box above. Again, on your screen it doesn't look like it, but there we go. Okay, the next one, we're going to barely see color. A little lighter, and I'm really barely using pressure at all. You can probably hear that my pencil is not making contact really with the paper. Okay, so lighter still. You can barely see that on the screen. I can barely see it, but in person, I see it. Okay, and then the next one, my pencil is barely going to touch that paper. Okay, so, and I've also moved my fingers all the way to the back so I can get barely any pressure at all. This is sort of like a whisper, the shading. Barely see it. I'll go ahead and do the whole box for you so that maybe you can see. But yeah, it's tough to see, but it's there. It's just barely anything at all. And then again, here is white. Okay, the pencil side, we're going to do the same thing from here to here. Here's going to be our darkest, here's our lightest. Okay, we're going to follow this guide up here. Okay, let's move on to cross hatching and hatching. I do want you to do this pencil side, the one bar that's, let's see, you know what? I'll start it for you. Okay, so again, we're going to use our boxes as a guide. Okay, so I'm pretty dark here. Notice I'm not as dark as the one above it. And there's a reason for that. Okay, so here I'm pretty dark. Now, my technique I'm going to use to get this area to be really, really dark is I'm going to go over it again. And I'm going to press a little bit harder. I'm going to make a band all the way down to the bottom. That's pretty dark. I'm going to go back and make a thinner band. That's really pretty much as dark as I can get it. Okay, I'm going to make this blend a little bit better by going over this band one more time. And we want our shading to just be gradual. Remember when we did the colored pencil shading and we talked about going in circles, in ellipticals? Okay, we can do that here too. That might be a little bit easier as you're coming down, going toward your lighter value, to work in an ellipse. Okay, remember ellipse is an elongated circle. Okay, so now I'm getting lighter and lighter. And this is what I want to try to avoid. See this line right here that really delineates between this and this? The two places that I did. So right down that line, I'm going to go over again and try to make it blend a little bit better. See how that did the trick. Going back over here. Okay, I'm getting lighter and lighter. I can even go back here and darken this up quite a bit. Okay, and you have to just keep going back over it in order to get your shading technique right. This is actually very relaxing. It's kind of a fun thing to do when you're maybe a little bit stressed. Okay, so that's the beginning of your pencil shading bar all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so for hatching and cross hatching, remember this one's going to be plain white. So I made a little dot there. Okay, so hatching, this is a new vocabulary word. Hatching is drawing your lines in one direction. And the more white we have, the less value with hatching. Okay, so that's hatching. Okay, cross hatching is just as the name implies. We cross those parallel lines with others. And this is what we're doing today. We're doing cross hatching versus hatching. Okay, so that's our second box. Our first one is white. Our second one is, there's a little bit less space in between. Okay, or a little bit more space in between our lines. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to draw our lines a little bit closer together. Okay, and again, same, other opposite direction. And I'm creating less white space. And the next one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw lines about the same distance as the one before. This is slightly different from your example. If you do it like the example that I attached, the document that I attached, that's fine too. This one's just slightly different that I'm doing. I'm going to do the same thing. This one's a little more methodical, I think, so maybe a little easier to work with. Okay, then in addition to these diagonal lines, I'm going to add some horizontal lines about the same distance apart. And notice in this one, I have even less white space than I did in the block before. Okay, so for the next one, we are going to make our parallel lines even closer together. Okay, we're going to do the same thing this way. Lines should be about the same distance apart, using the same pressure on the pencil. Finish this up. Okay, and for this one, we're going to do exactly what we just did, but what are we adding? We are adding the horizontal lines as well. Okay, you're going to continue with this. Actually, I'll go ahead and do it. Okay, what I've drawn is pretty much, these are pretty much equal, right? But watch when I add those horizontal lines that are spaced about the same distance. Of course, because I've added more graphite, I have less white. Okay, next, again, our lines are going to be even closer together. Almost no white showing. And I've got my other diagonal lines. Okay, less white space than this block. I'm going to do the same thing that I just did in this block. Oops, my lines are getting a little too far apart. I hope that when you do this, you will work a little bit more slowly than I am. I'm trying to get through this video for you guys quick before I lose ya. Okay. Okay, my goal is to make this box to this point the same as the one next to it. Now, I'm going to add my horizontal lines about the same distance apart as my diagonal ones. Again, please don't feel like you need to work as quickly as I do. I hope that you will not. All right, and there's my cross hatching. Okay, for the circles are exactly the same as, sorry about that. Okay, the circles are exactly the same as, or the spheres are exactly the same as the value scales, but they're just curved. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is the pencil side here, got cut off on my printer. This is the pencil side. Okay, so this is going to be my darkest one. Make this as dark as I can. Okay, I'm going to make this one a little bit lighter. Okay, just as we did here. In our steps, we're going to do the same thing here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's this one going to be? White. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so these 7 curved lines are going to match these 7 boxes up here. And the same with the cross hatching. Okay, so I think you've got it. I think I've kept you long enough with this video, and I hope you do well with it. When you're done with this and you've got your technique for your cross hatching and your pencil side shading, I want you to work on your lilies. Your water lilies are due next week as well. You may use a combination of cross hatching and pencil side shading. If you would like to. If you want to use only pencil side, that's okay. I would not suggest using only cross hatching. That's a kind of a difficult technique to to kind of get used to. So take your time with it. And if you have any questions, just make sure you email me. I look forward to seeing your drawings next week. Make sure you turn them in on Google Classroom or email to me. Thanks. Bye, guys.